Aston Villa are competing against the big boys, and 2 years on from finishing 14th are on track for their first Champions League qualification since they were defending champs in 1982, the year that one of their most famous fans was born. So how is this tiny club managing to punch so far above its weight? How has Emery turned his career around, and will Villa fans ever shut up about winning the European Cup in 1982? Stick around to find out. Aston Villa, the villains. They've been transformed under Unai Emery into a side capable of competing with the traditional big boys. They're sat in 4th with Champions League qualification in their hands. And subscribe because I'll be doing a season review across Europe, so you'll have the best updates on everyone's season, including Villa's. And this season have beaten some of their closest rivals to get that UCL spot. It's easy to say that they've just had a new manager and that's the reason for their rise over the past year, but there's a bit more to it than that, so let's have a look, man. Firstly, their tactics. Cast your mind back to the opening day of the season. Villa away at Newcastle. Not the best example as they got battered 5-1, but bear with me. Many wouldn't have bet on that score, well, Sandro Tonali might have done, but one man who admired their performance that day during an interview with NBC Sports was Fergie, a man who knows a thing or two about managing. Despite getting battered, Villa had a clear game plan and were a little unlucky to lose so heavily. During that match they lost Tyrone Mings to an ACL injury to go along with Buendia's injury just a few days earlier, just as he was hitting some form. Surely Mings could only get better. Anyway, their intentions and dedication to Emery's system were on show. They just gave away bad goals, which I always find an odd thing to say. I mean, who gives away good goals? But anyway, manager Unai Emery had planned to integrate Pau Torres into the squad slowly, but he was forced into the plan to replace Mings. They showed their season's intentions by playing a high defensive line and starting the rest of the team deeper, which draws opponents' eye out and leaves space in behind for pacey attacking players. And they started to adapt to those tactics quite well as adjusting to the loss of 2 big players. They only lost 2 more times in the league up to mid-December, thanks mostly to the improvements shown by most of their players under Emery. You see, Emery has built strong teams worth more than the sum of their parts at Sevilla, Villarreal and now Villa, although less successful at Arsenal and Paris Saint-Germain, but it could just be that Villa is his ideal club, or any club with the word Villa in its name maybe. So what makes him different to when he managed Arsenal in that somewhat less successful manner? Well, after being sacked he reflected on his performance, realised he hadn't paid enough attention to issues off the field, so after starting at Villa he set about building a team structure robust enough to cope with dips in form or injuries, and focus on a good working relationship with the owners. In fact, his relationship with them is said to be miles better than the one he had with Arsenal's top dogs. And don't forget that Emery ain't on his own. The owners gave him the freedom to bring his old pals with him. Emery wanted people he knew and could trust. He has his first choice backroom team, not just coaches but also analysts, doctors and dinner ladies. Okay, I made that last bit up. But Emery's Bezzy Damien Vidagani's job title was changed in recent months from personal assistant to director of football. Then there's Ramon Verdejo, aka Monchi, who joined from Sevilla and whose job was to provide a solid foundation and the types of players suited to the needs of the team. But Villa absolutely had to give Emery this kind of freedom. When he joined, they were 4th bottom and something had to change. He led them to a 7th place finish, qualifying for the Europa Conference League, of which they're currently in the semi-finals, and riding the wave of Emery optimism again this year. There's no good having a decent manager if you ain't got decent owners backing him up, and Emery has struck up a good relationship with co-owners Nassef Sawiris and Wes Edens. All the key decision makers at Villa are on the same page, and the owners want Emery's position to be comparable to Wenger and Fergie's spells. He's only got about another 20 years or so to achieve that, but most of all Emery feels the same. And it's this commitment to Villa that has apparently pleased a lot of the players, with a few of them recognising the improvements they've made since he joined. The days under him are long, but it's necessary for Emery's meticulous preparation, which has been seen in the team's results. And on the subject of meticulous planning, Emery often edits his analysis footage together himself. And talking of improvements, many players have improved under him, such as Oliver Watkins, club captain John McGinn and Ezri Konsa, as evidenced by making his England debut in March 2024. The young players are loving life at Villa Park and mention his experience managing world-class players at his previous clubs, and he's a manager with a load of trophies in his cabinet which gets the attention of the young guns. Diego Carlos is a tough centre-back who helped transform Sevilla into one of Spain's best sides defensively when he joined in 2019, and his frequent partner in defence, Pau Torres, has proven an excellent signing from Emery's old stomping ground Villarreal. for around 20 million less than his release clause, proving that it's not what you know, it's who you know. Their defensive partner Matty Cash, who was born in Slough in the heart of Poland, is probably one of the most underrated players in the EPL, and credit where it's due to his ex-Knox Forest manager Sabri Lamouchi, as he spotted Cash's potential to develop into an attacking right back after previously being used as a winger, but also credit to Emery too, as his role has changed again at Villa to more of a wing back with excellent results. They're excellently guarded by Emiliano Martinez, a penalty expert who has saved a few important ones and saved 3 in Argentina's win over Colombia in the semi-final of the 2021 Copa America due to his mastery of mind games. What do I mean by this? Well, he played his ultimate shithousery card on Yerry Mina when he said, "Hey, look, I know where you'll shoot and I'll save it. I'm eating you up, brother. I'm eating you up, brother." Funnily enough, he was eating Mina up as he saved his kick and was voted goalkeeper of the tournament. He broke French hearts in the World Cup final, saving another penalty and again being voted keeper of the tournament, where he dry humped the trophy for some reason, and broke more French hearts when Villa beat Lille in the shootout and Martinez saved 2, even partaking in more silliness during the shootout and receiving his second yellow card and not even getting sent off. Just top shithousery all round. Is letting him go one of Arsenal's biggest mistakes of recent years? While you ponder that question, give that subscribe button a smash, go on. Anyway, into the midfield we have Captain Marvel John McGinn, who Villa fans will not let me say a bad word about. Jacob Ramsey bloomed under Gerrard after he slipped him into the first team, but then again we all know Gerrard's tendency to slip. Emi Buendia was a £30 million signing from Norwich 3 years ago, anticipating that Grealish would leave, which he did, after Emi scored 15 and assisted 16 in Norwich's promotion season, which is pretty impressive, I'm sure you'll agree. Yuri Tillman's a midfielder with bags of quality and was signed on a free from Leicester, which is pretty good value considering he plays most matches. And Boubacar Kamara has been a promising defensive mid for a few years now with excellent vision, technique and athleticism. He was equally comfortable playing centre-back. He joined Marseille aged 5 and was often compared to Marcel Desailly, apparently, which is weird as he looks nothing like him, although he's disappointed a few people in his career already, as he joined Villa after his Marseille contract ended, which upset Atletico Madrid as they thought they had an agreement with him. And he also upset Senegal manager Aliou Cissé, who apparently had an agreement for him to play for the national team before he accepted the call-up for France. Although Spanish media later reported that Atletico turned him down, not the other way round, after he met their sporting director wearing shorts with no shoes, which is bizarre. Then there's Nicola Zaniolo, the guy who was called into the Italy squad before he'd even made his debut for Roma. The guy who, when he did eventually play his first Roma match, it was away to Real Madrid in the Champions League, so nerves don't faze him. He's got an outstanding range of passing and he's versatile as he can play anywhere in the forward positions. Inter must be kicking themselves as Roma only paid £3.9 million to snatch him from Inter's youth team, and so was Fiorentina, who released him in 2016 for not being tall enough, which seems like discrimination if you ask me. He should make a claim. But as he was with them from age 9, it upset him a little bit and he considered quitting football. But his dad Igor was a superstar footballer himself with clubs such as Regina, Spezia and Salernitana, and convinced him to stick it out. And it's this strength of character that got him through 2 cruciate ligament injuries, one in each knee for good measure, and has since been seen playing with a big plaster on it. Not sure that will help your ligaments, mate. But anyway, he's not been amazing since joining Villa, playing when he can be asked to, but there's no denying there's a talented young player in there, somewhere. Moving to the front line, Moussa Diaby is another blatant show of PSG not giving a toss about their youth system and allowing talented youngsters to disappear elsewhere, who on his day is a dribbling freak with explosive pace and changes of direction, although he moved to Villa from Leverkusen and who knows how he feels about that right now. John Duran hasn't quite had a big impact, but he's seen as a big part of Colombia's future, and Villa fans might feel some comfort to know he started his career at Envigado, who some believe have one of the best youth academies in the region, and the quarry of heroes are responsible for churning out talent like James Rodriguez, Juan Quintero and Freddy Guarín. Leon Bailey's a star winger who has had a very interesting journey from Jamaica to the Midlands. His dad founded an academy called Phoenix All Stars to improve football in Jamaica and give kids a better chance in life, which is just lovely. But after some opposition from the Jamaican FA, they left for Europe, later joining with his brothers the Belgian club Usk Anif. After a chance encounter in a park. After the brothers ripped apart Red Bull Salzburg in a Youth Cup final, Genk came knocking. This was an offer too good to refuse, as Genk are responsible for legends such as De Bruyne, Benteke, Courtois, Dennis Pratt and Origi. While in Belgium, for some reason, their dad was kidnapped and had a gun held to his head in the desert, like a scene out of Breaking Bad I suppose, and funnily enough they returned to Jamaica. Oh, and then back to Genk, then Slovakia of all places, then Bayern Leverkusen, where he joined Villa for £30 million. And if you're wondering about the Phoenix All-Stars Academy, Leon's dad still runs that, as well as acting as his agent, and the academy has beaten the Crystal Palace and Villa academies within the past year or two. A little tiff with the Jamaican FA meant he didn't make his international debut until 2019, but he's doing okay now. And last but not least is Ollie Watkins, who smashed in 19 goals as of 26th of April and laid on 12 assists for a combined total of 31, more than anyone else in the league. In the 2019-20 Championship season he scored 26 goals, and there was big pressure to step up to the Premier League after linking back up with manager Dean Smith, who is a manager who brought him to Brentford. So why has he got good all of a sudden? Well, his 19 goals came from an XG of 15.7. I won't bore you with the stats, but the figure suggests he's the most efficient finisher in the league among strikers, with only wingers Foden, Bowen and Son having better stats. He ranks second for total big chances and has a better big chance conversion rate than Haaland. Key to this improvement is Emery, of course. Watkins is a converted winger, so his instinct is to run to the channels, or at least it was. But Emery put a stop to that, so now he's staying within the width of the box and tiring his runs. Watkins, that is, not Emery. He's shooting more, scoring more and converting his chances at a better rate due to the coaching from Emery. Oliver himself puts his performances down to their performance coach Antonio Rodriguez Saravia, who arrived with Emery from Villarreal and works with him every day doing extras out on the training pitch, sometimes not even doing finishing practice, instead watching videos. Well, not those kinds of videos, an analysis to improve his game, which clearly works. And Emery's tactics create more goal scoring opportunities. Emery wants Villa to move quickly into the attacking third with fast breaks after the ball's turned over. As a result, Villa are joint top of the league for direct attacks and second for fast breaks. Remember what I said about Emery reflects on his performances? That opening day he started with Bailey and Diaby on the wings, which didn't quite work out, and they've only started together since then 6 times, as Emery prefers greater control. And talking of learning from mistakes, Philippe Coutinho came on as a sub that match and left at the end of the window. So no wonder these contractors in the top bracket of Premier League coaches, and Villa extended his contract until 2027, as he has a terrific record in Europe which is surely going to come in handy, and he's just changing the whole culture around the club, even encouraging fans to turn up to the stadium 90 minutes early to greet players. So it's easy to see why Villa see him as worth every penny, or peseta or euro or whatever he gets paid in. And talking of cash monies, in early 2024 Villa announced a huge loss of £119.6 million in their end of year accounts the previous season. Villa defended this by saying that the figures fell in line with the strategic business plan, which is odd, saying that a loss of £120 million falls in line with the plan, and that the club operates within the Premier League's profit and sustainability rules, but they are straying dangerously close to a breach of those PSR regs. But to help mitigate this, the club have removed themselves from contracts with partners such as Castore, their kit manufacturer, and sponsor BK8, and then sign more lucrative agreements elsewhere, the traitors. But the sad reality is that if Villa continue spending in line with the team results, or to stay in the PSR good books, they'll likely need to sell one of their first team players for a hefty profit. One option might be Jacob Ramsey, who's apparently valued at £42 million according to Transfermarkt, but his status as an academy graduate counts as pure ka-ching, which would help keep the PSR Wolves at bay. And hanging on to 4th place would be quite welcome, as would earn the club around 37 million spondoolies in prize money. Well, as the season draws to a close, are Villa feeling the pressure? Well, they beat top of the table Arsenal in April, who may or may not still be top by the time you watch this, and in their match programme versus Wolves in March, Emery said, "We don't have pressure, we have an opportunity." Which is lovely and philosophical, I guess. Heading into the home straight of the season, they need to keep their foot on the gas. Sure, they've got some great teams breathing down their neck, and Tottenham, but the manager has transformed them into a force to be reckoned with. You know what I mean? That's enough bad jokes for today. If you like what you've seen, please consider subscribing or watching one of these awesome vids on screen. But see you later, alligators.